I'd like to introduce Heather Emberley to come up and introduce our speaker.
Hi, me again. Today we welcome Carol Graham to share with us the wisdom of Zentangle. Carol is a mother, a grandmother, who retired from a career in hospital cardiology and upon doing so entered a whole new world of meditation and art to become Manitoba's first certified Zentangle teacher. If you know someone who is maybe ADD, stressed out, colorblind, or thinks they can't draw, Carol has something to teach that is as simple as black and white. And you'll see from her examples, which are on display on the side table after, it is definitely not doodling.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for those kind words, Heather. Yes, as she's mentioned, I am Carol Graham, and I am very happy to be here to share my story with you this morning. As she said, I am a mom and a grandma, a retired cardiology tech. I'm an artist, I'm an invigilator, sometimes I'm a background actor, I'm a volunteer, and I am one of Manitoba's first Zentangle teachers. I am Winnipeg's first Zentangle teacher. When I did my training, there was actually 2 of us from Manitoba. The other gal lives in Dauphin, Manitoba. But I am Winnipeg's first. So, what the heck is Zentangle? I asked myself that same question back in 2007 when a random black and white image appeared in an unrelated Google search. At that time, the art that I dabbled in was mostly black and white. Color kind of scares me. I used graphite pencil, charcoal, pen and ink sometimes. I looked at that image and I thought, I bet I could draw that. So I clicked on that image and I jumped down one of those virtual rabbit holes with both feet. I learned that this type of art was called Zentangle. And from the official Zentangle website, it was described, the Zentangle method is an easy to learn, relaxing, and fun way to create beautiful images by drawing structured patterns. They said it didn't require any artistic ability and could be done by almost anyone, almost anywhere. It was portable and inexpensive, requiring only something to draw on and something to draw with. Count me in. I signed up for newsletters, I followed blogs, I joined Facebook groups, I participated in challenges, and I drew reasonable facsimiles of Zentangle art. But I did not find it relaxing. In fact, it was really hard to copy these complex patterns, even with step-by-step instructions. I played around with Zentangle on and off for several years, but I knew I was missing something. The peace and mindfulness that people talked about sure sounded appealing, but I wasn't getting any of that. There were very few certified Zentangle teachers, or CZTs, in Canada at the time, and none of them were in Manitoba. The closest were in Saskatoon, and several efforts to connect with them when we traveled to Alberta to visit family all came to nothing. So, in the fall of 2013, I traveled to Providence, Rhode Island, to become a CZT myself, and studied with the creators of the method, Maria Thomas and Rick Roberts. Rick's many different vocations have included jobs in technology, finance, entertainment, even cab driving. And maybe most notably, for 17 years he lived on a monastery. Maria was a fairly renowned calligrapher and illustrator. She owned and operated Pendragon Studios, and hand-wrote the wedding invitations for Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas. He's the Zen, and she's the Tangle of the Zentangle method. Now, if you think about calligraphy for a second, this would not be a relaxing, stress-free job. Everything has to be perfect. You think about elegant invitations, beautiful certificates. Everything has to be balanced, symmetrical, perfect, right? You could spend hours on a piece and spell the last word wrong, and the whole thing is ruined. Well, almost 20 years ago now, Maria was in her studio working on an illuminated letter. You know that fancy, flourishy block letter at the beginning of old manuscripts or big scrolls? She was drawing the little patterns in the background of the letter when Rick noticed that her entire countenance changed. Her shoulders dropped, the tension in her brow disappeared, and she looked happy. So he asked her what was going on in her mind just then. What was she thinking about? She described feeling relaxed, but not really thinking about anything. This was the part of her job that she didn't have to think about. She could just enjoy the flow of ink to paper, repeating the patterns over and over. This was her happy place. Well, that sounded kind of familiar to Rick, and he said, "You're meditating." Maria wasn't so sure. That sounded a bit woo-woo for her. Meditation was his thing, not hers. But the more that they talked about it, the more they realized that maybe their path to get there was different, but the destination, that flow state or happy place, that was the same. And they wondered if they could teach people how to get there, show them a method of drawing that would let anyone experience the benefits of a relaxed focus while creating beautiful art at the same time, without having to subscribe to any particular philosophy or belief. That's what I went to Providence for. Not because I wanted to teach people how to draw Zentangle art. I didn't consider myself to be a teacher. But once I finally got it, I felt like I couldn't not teach it. I wanted everybody to know that they could do this too. Now, I'm not going to teach you how to draw today, but rather I want to share with you some of the life lessons that I've learned in the process of embracing this art form. There are 8 basic steps in the Zentangle method. The first and the last step is appreciation. At the beginning, before we start, we take time to appreciate the materials we've got to work with. We have the paper, the pens, pencils. We appreciate the time we've set aside for ourselves to create some art, and the intentions to find some peace and centeredness. When we are finished, we appreciate what we've accomplished. We turn our tile this way and that way and hold it at arm's length and look at it from a different perspective. What would it look like for you to start your day that way? With gratitude and appreciation, to appreciate the materials you've got to work with, the work that you've got to do, the time that you have to spend with family and friends. And then when your day is complete, to appreciate everything you accomplished, to look at it from a different perspective. Traditional Zentangle is done on 3.5-inch square paper tiles. It isn't a huge blank canvas, so it's not so intimidating. It doesn't take a long time to finish. And if you're not satisfied with it, you can just do another one. In Zentangle, there are no mistakes. A Zentangle is always a Zentangle. You can't fail at this art form. Tiles that you hate one day turn out to be genius when you look at them a week later or when you turn them 90 degrees. It's a non-representational art form, so it has no up or down. A new perspective can make all the difference, whether you're revisiting a Zentangle tile you're not happy with or a day that didn't go according to plan. There's always something to be learned in it. We use a pencil for the next steps to draw the dots, the border, the strings on a tile. The pencil lines are more like suggestions of limits rather than rigid boundaries like you would find in a coloring book. And when you draw over them with a pen, they pretty much disappear. You can choose to stay within or move beyond those limits. Just as in life, we choose to do or not do certain social conventions. Rick talks often about the elegance of limits. Limits can actually inspire creativity. How can you plant a garden when all you have is a balcony? How can you make dinner with only the ingredients in your fridge? Even an absolute limit, like gravity, can be the inspiration for flight. John W. Gardner said, "Life is the art of drawing without an eraser." There are no erasers in a Zentangle kit because there are no mistakes, right? We use a pen to draw the patterns. Pen strokes are deliberate, intentional, and irreversible. Misplaced lines cannot be erased. You learn to accept those misstrokes and incorporate them into the design. You find a way to embrace the strokes you put down and see the beauty in all of them. As in life, things don't always go the way we intend or expect, but it's how we adjust to the unexpected that's what's important. You can always build and move forward from where you are. Actually, right where you are is the only place you can move from. One of Zentangle's slogans is, "Anything is possible, one stroke at a time." The patterns, or tangles as we call them, are made up of just a few elemental strokes, which, when repeated, create interesting abstract art. The pattern emerges with each small stroke, just as the seemingly small and insignificant moments of our day contribute to the complex pattern of our life. We create our lives 1 minute, 1 word, 1 thought at a time. We may want to figure out how to solve the whole problem or situation all at once. I know I do. But in the end, it's the small incremental solutions that bring resolution. Zentangle is one of the few art forms where you intentionally do not plan what it will look like. This is one of the reasons that you can just relax and enjoy the process, because there's no specific expectation of what it will look like when you're finished. There is no worry to take away from each moment of each stroke. You can allow the unexpected to occur and be surprised by the outcome. As you develop a Zentangle practice, you become more comfortable not needing to know what comes next. When you are fully present to each stroke, you grow confident in your ability to know what to do next when the time comes. And you realize that you have that same ability in other parts of your life. You'll trust that when you get there, you'll know what to do. The ability to shift your focus deliberately is an important skill. It can be hard to change the state of mind in a stressful situation. Heck, it's hard to do when you're not stressed. But when you try to shift your focus and attention away from something just by trying, you tend to focus on it even more. Tell someone, don't think about polar bears, and pretty soon that's the only thing they can think about. When you are pushing against a thought, you are literally paying it attention, therefore buying more of what you don't want. It's much easier to get your attention off of something when you try and focus on to something different or something new. Zentangle engages your hand-eye coordination, attracting and absorbing your attention as you focus on each stroke and watch your patterns unfold. In the Zentangle community, there is often a spirited debate about the difference between Zentangle and doodling. Personally, I am a big doodler. I'm a fan of both. The difference for me is about the process. I have always been a doodler, and I probably always will be. I believe most people have a doodle vocabulary, if you will. Maybe you have a handful of shapes that your hand knows how to draw without an awful lot of input from your brain. For me, my doodle vocabulary was hearts, diamonds, little scrolls, and daisies. And I could and would draw those things over and over. My school books, not the textbooks, just my scribblers, covered in them, right? Margins of my loose leaf papers. I drew those things whenever I was stuck on hold or having trouble staying focused on what the teacher was saying or what the lecturer was talking about. Doodling is something that I use to occupy my hands when my thoughts are elsewhere, and it comes from a place of distraction. My Zentangle practice, on the other hand, is extremely focused. My attention is on the ink as it flows onto the paper, on each line as it contributes to the pattern. I am fully present in the moment. Brené Brown says there's no such thing as creative people and non-creative people. There are only people who use their creativity and people who don't. Every single person has a different voice, a different presence, and a different mark they're going to put down, making each person a unique artist. There are Rembrandts and there are Picassos, and there's plenty of room for both styles. And Picasso made way more money. Only you can make your line. No one else can make that line but you. I think mindfulness and creativity go hand in hand. While mindfulness can be learned, I believe creativity is inherent in humans. We were created by the Creator to be creators. We just have to use our creativity. So, can you draw your way to mindfulness? I know that I can. But I think you can also dance your way, or play the piano your way there, or sing, or arrange flowers, or knit a sweater, or cook a good meal. Nietzsche said, the essence of all beautiful art, all great art, is gratitude. As you move into your day, into your week, I encourage you to do so with gratitude and appreciation. Whether you are at your job, or making art, washing dishes, or going on vacation, anything can be done with mindful presence, one deliberate step at a time. Thank you.